And yo, the Sports Back Bros podcast is coming back at you. The holiday is already here, the holiday season at least. Christmas is next week, but we're starting early. Today is Wednesday and not Thursday. As you know, if you do watch or listen, it comes down to Monday and Thursday. We put the show out there, we edit it, do whatever. And then sometimes we throw out the entire episode as well. But, anyways, this week is coming up. College football, pretty much a thing of the past until the playoffs start up. We do have some small bowl games and so forth. The NFL, all eyes are on the NFL. Now it's their part of the year where they're playing on Saturdays, Sundays, Mondays, and of course, it starts on Thursday. Nevertheless, what's going on?
What's happening? Yeah, I'm not gonna say I'm excited about this fight coming up between Usyk and Fury, but I do plan on watching just to find out how much Fury has left. I'm of the opinion he probably should have retired after that last fight. I don't think he's gonna, he's even older. He took more punishment. I think the Wilder trilogy really took a lot out of him.
Yep.
That top fighter is gone. And I think Usyk's gonna have an easier time this time.
And that's what I was thinking earlier. In fact, after the way it went down, I was thinking the same thing. I was hoping Usyk had won in the first one, but I did pick Fury to beat him, and it didn't happen that way. And Usyk almost got the knock out if it weren't for the ref, what a ref, let it go on. But anyways, I'm thinking that this fight coming up, Usyk, even though he's an older fighter too, but the wear and tear from the cruiserweight, I don't believe it's the same wear and tear, and it shouldn't be, as Fury has being a heavyweight taking those bombs, especially with the trilogy with Deontay Wilder, as you already had mentioned. And then it looks like even in the middle of that trilogy, there were other fights that he's had, like Otto Whalen. He's had issues in that fight, got cut in that fight. So it looks like he's
Yeah.
been kind of going down a little bit at a time, but he talks a lot. He does these antics where people jump on the bandwagon once again, and they just disregard the previous performance of slippage and go back with the rhetoric and the things that he says, and then the bouncing around he does. But against Usyk, it didn't work. And you know what? To his credit, at least in that fight, and he claims he didn't really train. Of course, everybody used that as an excuse. I didn't really train because you get the result you get. You don't like it, so you can always get that out, and your fans will be more than happy to jump on that narrative. But he was handling Usyk in the early part of the fight until Usyk started getting a handle on it and landing some of those shots, and then we saw how he did when he really brutalized them against the ropes.
Yeah, I think we should have known after the Ngannou debacle.
Oh
We
yeah.
should have known. But my biggest concern from Fury's standpoint is he landed good shots on Usyk, but he couldn't discourage him.
No.
So Usyk's like, okay, yeah, he can thump a little bit, but it's not anything that's gonna make me change my game plan or make me afraid of going after him. And knowing Usyk hurt him the first fight, I mean, that makes what, like 7, 8 times Fury's been down in his career?
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, I think Usyk's just that much more confident, and unless Fury can, he played around a lot too. Unless he comes out totally focused, can keep Usyk on the outside, use his jab and hit him with uppercuts and right hands and do that. I don't see him beating Usyk though.
But isn't that part of his game, part of his personality to talk that nonsense and get in the ring and act at
But
least
that's why he
clownish?
got clipped.
And that's why he got clipped. If he took that out of his game and he was serious from beginning to end or tried to be, would that be taking away from that, I don't know, unpredictability that he did have because he was clowning around and then he gets you with something that you probably aren't expecting, even though he's a bigger guy? I'm just thinking skill wise, he's never going to be on Usyk's level in skill because typically lighter fighters like cruiserweights or even further down, they're more skilled anyway because not all those fighters can knock you out with one shot. But when you're a heavyweight and you're 250, 260, sometimes 280 plus, any grown man throwing a punch like that can knock you out. A 200-pound grown man can knock you out without a problem. And so those guys have to refine their skills more. It just happens to be Usyk was a bit of a power puncher down as a cruiserweight. He didn't necessarily have to bring his power up, but he had that skill set to set up the power shot that he did. And we see he can chop down the big tree because he's done it in the first fight for a little while.
And that left hand that hurt Fury, it didn't really look like that big of a punch.
No,
I
it
mean,
didn't.
it landed solidly, but it wasn't a haymaker. It didn't make people jump off the couch like, oh,
Yep,
I mean, it was just a good left hand, and it rocked him.
it
So
did.
I don't know if Fury's got it here anymore.
And I don't, I always try to say I don't want to ever try to say what should hurt a fighter, what shouldn't hurt a fighter. But you look at a fighter, you expect the result if a punch lands a certain way. Like when Julian Jackson hit someone, you kind of realize, you know what, that guy's going out. There's no chance. But then you see glancing blows and fighters go down. You're wondering, did that fight really glance him, or did it really hurt him, or is he just
Yeah,
going down because he
it's
doesn't want
not
to
like
be there?
it didn't snap his neck, you know.
No, exactly. You didn't see the result of what you thought the punch should have gotten.
Right.
When you throw the punch hard, you see that snapping part, and they go down, and you know that the punch was thrown hard, and the reception of the punch was taken badly, and the fighter goes down or shows that they're visibly hurt. And then that wasn't one of those punches. And then you look at the smaller guy, even though he's bigger than he's been as a cruiserweight, he's bigger than he's been as a heavyweight so far. And he's landing it on him the same way other fighters have landed punches on while on Fury. Fury hasn't gotten really, really hurt other than Wilder, and Wilder was supposedly having this freakish strength. And against Fury,
Yeah.
he's shown it over and over. I'm just thinking that, man, I don't know
I
why I
I
haven't been.
I think Fury thinks if he didn't get rocked and knocked down, he wins the first fight. So maybe he's thinking, well, as long as I don't get knocked down, I'm going to win. That's a bad mindset to have.
You can't go in there. You convince yourself in one way, but you can't convince yourself because I did this is the reason why that happened. When that's really a part of your game anyway, like I've already mentioned, to do those things over and over, clowning around, it's part of your game and part of the way you set fighters up and that unpredictability that he did have. Being at 6'9", bouncing around like he does and throwing the jab and clowning around, leaning on fighters, and he's done it and he has been effective with it. But this is a fighter who's been an amateur for quite some time, fought on a high level early, and continued to be consistent with his fighting on a high level as a cruiserweight, and now as a heavyweight, came up and took the title, and then beats Fury. I mean, he just Usyk is just one of those fighters, man. He's just a special fighter. He's the one who should be talking about retirement if he wins this fight.
Maybe they both retire.
And
Um,
another thing, as far as
uh,
uh, you know what I mean, every time an undefeated fighter loses, they lost a piece of themselves. You can't get that back. And mentally, I know a lot of times when fighters lose the first time and they go back into that next fight, they're just not the same. Now, most times it's because you are practically the same weight. The lighter fighter guys are practically the same weight, and you probably felt power you haven't felt before, so you're a bit cautious. Kind of like when Mayorga, when he fought Vernon Forrest, the first time Vernon Forrest came in all cocky, the second time he was a bit tentative because he felt that Mayorga power and he lost that first fight. Completely different fighter the second time around. But we're talking about heavyweights where the difference could be 30, 40 pounds, depending on what Fury's doing and what we hear the weigh-in is going to be on Friday.
yeah, my only issue is I'm seeing things like Usyk number one pound for pound. Is he a top five heavyweight? Come on, man, pump the brakes. We're talking about a Fury who looked like absolute trash against Ngannou,
Yeah.
and then fought. Was it a split decision or majority decision? Like
I think it was, I can't
it,
remember what the
it's
decision
not like
was.
he just totally beat down Fury and dominated the fight. It was a close fight.
Yeah.
So I mean, pump the brakes, man. Come on.
See, I don't know who's saying this, these new boxing fans, or even people who know what they're talking about, or these historian types that want to put them up there because it's the hottest thing to say right now. I kind of figure like right now there's a Mount Everest of, not a Mount Everest, a Mount Rushmore of boxing. Mount Everest, if you add the 6'9" Fury. But anyway, there's a Mount Rushmore of boxing that seems like it's never going to change, only because the rules now just prevents that from happening. You're not going to have fighters with 200 plus fights. You're not going to have fighters with 100 plus fights with any consistency. So, you probably, if you're talking about a consensus, because I know it's subjective and people can say what they want and put who they want on there, but you're going to have your Joe Louis, your Henry Armstrong, your Ray Robinson, and maybe a Muhammad Ali, or whoever you're putting in. It's pretty interchangeable, but there's only a handful of people that will be accepted by historians on a consensus that you can put on that Mount Rushmore of four people. Whoever's fighting right now will never end up on that Mount Rushmore. So now, if you bring Usyk into the mix and knowing that he beat Fury, which is a lot of people don't believe Fury would have done well in the 90s when those heavyweights were raw, or even in the 70s, he might have done something, but how well would he have done back then? he wouldn't have survived the 90s with Lennox Lewis, Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, bro.
Probably not,
David
but
Tua, bro.
probably not. But if he was able to knock out Fury, let's say if he knocked him out the first fight and knocks him out again the second fight, and then he somehow got Anthony Joshua in the ring, knocked him out before Andy Ruiz did, and now he's building a pretty strong resume.
Yeah,
Of course, that didn't happen, but it would take something like that to get consideration to move onto that Mount Rushmore.
yeah. That man, the Mount Rushmore part, I think is pretty almost etched in stone. You could probably have two or three fighters out of history to go in there and be interchangeable. Anything new right now, I think,
I'm
as
just
far
saying
as
it's going to take something significant,
extraordinary. I
yeah,
mean,
from
Manny Pacquiao moving up
from
to
the
heavyweight and winning.
heavyweight.
That would be something. Manny Pacquiao moved up to a heavyweight and just knocked out Wilder or knocked out Fury. Okay, man, just put him on the Mount Rushmore. Forget it. No more argument. But
Shit, if Manny Pacquiao knocked out Tyson Fury, there's no Mount Rushmore. He goes on top of
he goes
Mount
on top.
Rushmore.
I'm swearing. There's something like that had to happen. Going up in all those weight classes, and he happened to be the heavyweight. I know this is completely ridiculous, but
Right,
that's the kind of thing, and giving you an example of the kind of feat you would have to accomplish to get on that Mount Rushmore, where a consensus, because I know there are people who have their own idea of a Mount Rushmore, and again, it is subjective. And I've heard some people say Salvador Sanchez needs to be on there, Julio Cesar Chavez needs to be on there, and I can't tell them that they don't belong on it if it's their list, if it's their Mount Rushmore. I can't tell them they don't belong on it because those guys are great as well. But then there's levels to this greatness. And it's hard to even think about Chavez
right.
fighting the way he's fought to saying that there's levels to it. Wait a minute, he is that level. That's what I'm thinking. But
Chavez is my favorite fighter all time.
that's my
And
second dude, man, behind Ali.
ain't no way he's top 4, top 5 all
And I know
time.
that's what I'm saying. I
He's
know,
not.
but you have people out there who have their own list, and they will probably throw Ray Robinson on it because that's pretty much what it should be on there. And then they'll throw their own guys. Roy Jones belongs on there. Salvador Sanchez belongs on there. Julio Cesar Chavez belongs on there. It's subjective, but that's why I
I
keep saying a consensus
Roy
of
Jones
historians.
Roy Jones is interesting because the end of his career, he gets hurt, all the knockout losses to this guy
Yeah.
and that guy. But if he retires after the first Tarver fight and never fought again, what are we saying about Roy Jones? I say he's got a top 10 career.
You know what? He probably
And I think we don't take into account him putting on, what was it, 12, 15 pounds of muscle to fight John
mhm,
Ruiz, and then having to go back down, not losing extra weight. He had to drop
lose
muscle weight.
muscle.
Yeah, and then totally changed his body. He got clipped, and then after that, it seemed like he couldn't take a punch again.
Well, Lou
So,
Duval did knock him down at the Felt Forum back in the day as well, and that's
yeah,
a
but he
light
wasn't
heavyweight.
bouncing off the ropes like
He
he
was,
was against
yeah, he
Tarver.
wasn't doing all that, but shit, Tarver just got him on a sweet spot. Tarver wasn't even looking; he just caught him, and it wasn't intent to if it landed, it was going to get that result. Tarver threw it
Like
with
he
that
should have
intention.
retired after the Glenn Johnson fight. Like
Oh yeah, yeah. After that,
Glenn
after he
Johnson just got in his kitchen and went to work.
he went to work, and Glenn Johnson's like a road
He
warrior.
couldn't keep him off, and then, like that should have been the indicator. Look, I can't do this no more.
But that's a boxer, and these egos they have. And going back to that Antonio Tarver fight, the first one. Remember, that was an extremely close fight. Roy really
It
had to
was,
suck it up to get
yeah,
that
he
last
he
round to win that
stepped up
fight.
the last couple
So,
rounds.
and there were still people out there when it's that close, and you know how that goes in boxing. If you're that good and you have a fight that's that close and close to people who are not used to seeing you have close fights, they think losing 3 rounds is a close fight. I can't believe it. You lost 3 rounds out of 12 rounds. I can't believe it happened like with Floyd Mayweather. Man, that dude hung in there. Yeah, he won 3 rounds, but that dude hung in there, man. He almost won. Nonsense. And there would have been people out there saying, no, you got to give him a second shot. In fact, that's the reason why Roy gave him that second shot, because there were people saying that. And Roy, in the back of his mind, with his warrior mentality and his heart and his ego, he said, you know what? It was too close for comfort. This is the Roy Jones that you've seen before. I want to give him another go. And you saw in that first round how he was really being assertive. And I remember Manny Stewart saying that Roy's still uncomfortable with his southpaw and really doesn't know. He doesn't look right now. And the very next round, he gets caught with the shot. And there goes Roy. And, and the third Tarver fight, he didn't want to be there. I was at that fight. I went as a media member to that fight, and it's like he didn't really want to be there, man. I hate to say that about fighters, man, but there was times when he was so tentative, and this was the first time in the post-fight conference. I brought a friend of mine, my friend Tony. He owns the gym in Orlando that I posted before. He came with me to that fight, and we went to the post-fight conference. And Roy was like, "You know what? I have no shame being the second best fighter in the world right now." When the last time, or first time, or any time you would have ever thought Roy Jones would say something like that? I don't mind being the second best fighter in the world right now. This is the guy right here. And I'm like, whoa, we sitting back there like, damn. And we're hearing other fighters call him out. Reggie Johnson called him out. And then Glenn Johnson just had a fight on Friday, called him out. He's there with his wife with a few bruises on his forehead, calling him out. And they were just calling out Antonio Tarver now because Roy was like yesterday's news. But yeah,
Yeah,
that was just
unfortunately.
craziness. But yeah,
But
this fight coming up, who do you choose in this fight? Are you going Usyk again, or
yeah,
does Fury get revenge?
I have to go with Usyk because I think Fury he's at this door stepping into the clubhouse. He's not on the back nine. He's almost in the clubhouse. And that's what I feel. That's what I think anyway. Because let's say 4 years ago he fights Ngannou. Even if
Hmm.
he's going through the motions, it's not going to be that close. But
No,
after the wars with Wilder, I just think he's had a lot taken out of him, and he's just not the same fighter. What is he, like 38 now? Um,
man. You know what? I don't even keep touch with his
he
age anymore because it's just going by year after year. You just realize, man, this guy's 38 or this guy's 36, or you
yeah,
look
I'm
at
not
Wilder,
sure
see how
how old
old
he
he is.
is, but
He's old. He's old for a heavyweight boxer
right. So
or a
that's what
boxer.
I'm
Period.
saying. He the door is open. They're welcoming in him. How can he say that shit? Someone's at the door saying, "Come on in, Fury." He's
Yeah, it's
almost in the
over.
clubhouse.
Yeah, I gotta go with Usyk too, only because, well, I think Usyk is the better fighter at this point in his career. Even though power does matter, and a big man can knock out a little man at any time, and it is boxing. And also, I think something that Usyk is probably not wanting to happen with Fury in this fight is Fury going to the body with some consistency. We saw how that happened, with the body shot that Usyk had
Dubois.
against Dubois. When Dubois hit him with the body shot, a lot of people thought that shot was a legitimate shot
It
and should
was
have been a
clean.
knockout. Usyk should have lost his belt. So now, does Fury go in there and go after the body from the beginning and show you his intentions? Because if he wants to go into the body, you can't do nothing about it. I mean, he does have to get in close, but if he's willing to take that shot to get in, it's going to really be something. It's going to take something out of you just from him doing that. And if he does have a soft body, then that's another issue.
Yeah, and I know Fury's more of a counter puncher than come after you to get the knockout, but
Mhm.
it just looked really strange him backing up against Usyk in the last fight.
Well, when Usyk hit some of those shots, changing the angles and hitting you with those shots, you probably automatically do it instinctively, just staying away. Those shots aren't knockout shots, but they still freaking hurt. And a lot of those shots continue to come like a beehive. You're getting stung by everybody. You're getting stung by every damn bee. You can't do nothing about it, but wave your hands trying to get away from it. And I think that's what happened with Usyk. Usyk just kept coming in. He was going to the body when he had his opportunities when he was inside. He was still doing those feints and still changing angles and coming and throwing the shots that were unpredictable. And I think and coming from that southpaw stance, always a problem anyway. So I don't know. Does Fury has it in him to just bite down? You know what? I know I'm gonna have to take shots. Let me do it because I can just walk through it early and try to get rid of him. Because if he just tries to overwhelm him like that, I think that's a real possibility.
Yeah, he'll probably get clipped again if he if he tries
Keep your
that
chin
strategy.
down. Yeah, but sometimes that temple shot do the same damage. But
Yeah,
anyways, I'm gonna go with Usyk because of those reasons. I think, and Usyk needs to retire afterwards too because who's left? You got a shot Anthony Joshua. Now you still have Deontay Wilder with his newest excuse for why he lost or looked the way he's looked. Put him to the side. Let these young guys fight it out and see what happens. And if we could get a new champ out of that, so that would end it with boxing. The fight coming up this Saturday, the rematch between Fury and Usyk. Check it out. And that leads us to, well, this is football still, not college football to talk about other than the transfer portal and players going from one team to another. Things are changing up. We already know that. We see it every year. But the NFL, this week in the NFL, what's going on? Before the week even starts, we're talking about Michael Penix getting the
Getting
start
start.
for the Minnesota Vikings. Kirk Cousins, what a freaking mess. They gave him
Yeah,
all that money.
I
And
think
what
it's
you
a
think?
few weeks overdue, but at least he's getting an opportunity now.
Yeah, he's getting the opportunity. But in the beginning, they said it was a bad move. It was one of these moves you wonder what the hell was going on. Even Kirk Cousins, when the move was made, he was like, "What the heck is going on?" Because we look at it from the outside. Wasn't he just given like $180 million contract? What are you bringing in a first rounder this early for? I think it would have been even better if it was just a second rounder or even first rounder taken with the 32nd pick. Something that you can say, okay, he's still for the future. You can leave it at that. But when you're getting that blockbuster contract that Kirk Cousins has had, and then you're taking a quarterback this early, a lot of times you waiting for these play. I'm saying Minnesota. What the hell?
It
He's
makes
down
you
in
wonder
Atlanta
why
now.
they traded for him in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. That's what he's saying. But I think he's more on the side of I got my money. He's wondering what this kid is about. I don't even think he's wondering why you got me. Hell, he got his money. So he just wondering, wait a minute, why you get him and I'm here? So it's not even a matter of the trade part of it. It's the matter of what the heck is going on. So I'm saying Atlanta, not Minnesota. I'm thinking Minnesota because he was still up there. I'm thinking JJ McCarthy's up there. He might have done better than what Kirk Cousins is doing right now. And Kirk Cousins has never really gotten the love he thinks he's deserved over these years, but he's got a whole bunch of bags over these years that he probably had not deserved. This time, double-digit interceptions,
Well,
not
he
too well,
missed
almost as many touchdowns as interceptions as
he's missed the
touchdowns.
regular season. He can't get it done in the playoffs.
And this regular
Or
season, he's not
hasn't.
getting. As
And
bad
now
as
he's
he,
not getting it done in the regular season. So what good
yeah.
is
Now, as bad as he's played so far this year, Atlanta's still 7-7. Now, their last three games, they play the Giants. Come on, the Giants and Tommy DeVito. Come on. They're going to play them in Atlanta. They go on the road in a game I think they will lose with another fellow rookie because it's going to be Penix and Jaden Daniels. So I think they're going to lose to Washington. And then that final game, well, I think it's the Saints. I can't remember who they're playing, but it's another bad team. I mean, so they could get 2 wins out of these last three games and at least be respectable 9-8 to close out the 17-game season. If they were for some reason to beat Washington in Washington and could end it with a 3-0 start, this could be a 10-17.
Yeah, does that get him into the playoffs?
That's what I was wondering. I was
Who's
thinking now.
who's the first in that division?
Atlanta. Let me see. I think Atlanta. Oh no, Tampa.
Oh, okay.
But that would be
Yeah.
the only
But
team
well,
going because the
but
division
with
is crap.
yeah, with the North Division having 3 teams,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
likely having three
you're
teams.
not
Yes,
getting
everybody else is just going to get one apiece. But Kirk Cousins not really getting the respect, not really deserving of too much respect. And now they're going with the rookie. And now you're going to see what Michael Penix can do. And I think this is a little bit back to the throwback days of when quarterbacks did have to wait, but back then they waited 2-3 years, like when Joe Montana was playing. What's his name was on the bench? Look, my mind just going back
Steve
and forth.
Young.
Go, Chris, huh?
Steve Young.
Yeah, Steve Young. What the hell? Man? I'm thinking about
Hey, did
Stephen
you think
Nair.
of that Patriots quarterback I was trying to think of?
Which one? Was it Rohan Davey?
No. He got traded to the 49ers. Brock Purdy took his job.
Oh man. Oh, you know what? Shoot, I didn't even check that
Yeah,
out.
probably should have looked it up, but I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
You just reminded
It
me of
wasn't
it.
Matt Castle, right? Look at Matt Castle
No,
went to Kansas City.
no.
And besides that, he was going way before. That was with Tom Brady anyway. I mean, way back with Tom Brady.
Damn, I
But yeah,
can't believe I'm still drawing a total blank. But
was it a
you know,
popular quarterback?
huh?
So was it one of those popular quarterbacks?
He played while Brady was hurt, played fairly well until Brady came back, and then they traded him in the offseason.
Well,
But
I can't remember that right now. Hell, I'm messing up Steve
any,
Young, thinking about Stephen Nair. What
anyway,
the hell?
so if you're watching this video, you know who we're trying to think of. Please tell us in the comments.
Yeah,
That's
put it in
the
the
first time I've
comment.
ever asked for a comment because
Right?
I hate them videos. Yo, if you want to comment. I'm not gonna ask you to comment, but in this case, I am. But I gotta come at all these people bashing Caleb Williams for his poor body language. Yeah, it looks bad. If you don't know what happened, he's leaning to the side. He looks like he's moping and whining. But if you know what happens, you understand why. You should understand why. The play before he went to the bench, he was scrambling around, trying to throw the ball to the other side of the field. He jumped to throw it, and while he's in the air, he gets blasted. He laid down flat on his back for like a good 5, 6 seconds before he got up. The dude was hurt, man. He got blasted in the midsection. Give the kid a break. Now, I'm not saying he's playing well, get off of Caleb because he's the man. I'm not even saying all that. I'm just saying don't come at him about his body language after he got blasted in the midsection and he's rolling around on the bench because he's in pain. That makes no sense.
Might have got hit in that solar
Put
plexus
shit,
too.
put shit in its proper context.
Yeah, but you know how it is. You have your people, as I already mentioned before we got on, the bubble of Chicago. Those are the people who are going to have the right to say what they want. That's their team. And then you have people on the outside. They see just the highlights or maybe catch a game or two, and then they want to draw their conclusion when they see something. And I've heard people now saying, "No, he's not the guy." Drake May is the guy. Jaden Daniels is the guy for that team. But then Caleb Williams, no, he's not the guy. I don't know. He's had a lot of opportunities, but he's still a freaking rookie. The number one overall pick, who's a rookie on a team that didn't play the way they were supposed to play for the entire season. Because when they were playing well for that time, he was looking okay. He was going through the regular ups and downs of a rookie quarterback. Now it's just the whole floor has come from underneath him. He's fallen through along with the rest of the team. You think they gave up? I think if anything is going to give up, it would be the defense more so than the offense,
The
because the
defense,
defense
hey.
is the one who has to keep them in the game.
Well, I told you a few weeks ago, the last thing I wanted was I wanted Eberflus fired, but I didn't want Thomas Brown to be the head coach and still be the OC and call plays
Yeah,
because that's what Matt Nagy tried to do with Mitch and with Justin. And that didn't work out. And now they're doing the same thing. Thomas Brown's got head coach responsibilities and he's the OC and calling plays. They haven't scored in the first half in 6 games.
man.
So is he coming up with good game plans? Is he calling good plays? I don't think so. I watched the games. I'm not seeing good play calls. They went for it on 4th and 1 at the 39 Monday night, first possession of the game, and they got a guy who's never started a game at left tackle, and they pitched left, tossed left, try to run behind him. He doesn't make the block, and they get stopped at the 39. First possession of the game. Now, here's the thing about that. There's word that that player's name is, I can't remember his first name, but it's Omagaji. He's a 3rd round pick. And so I think Braxton Jones was hurt. They needed a replacement at left tackle. And word is, well, it's not word is, but Olin Kreutz, Bears legend, center for many years, like 12,
Yeah, I
13
remember
years.
that.
He's always on the radio breaking down Bears games. He says there is no way, absolutely no way, Thomas Brown and the offensive staff thought Omagaji was their best option at left tackle. So that tells him Ryan Poles went down and said, look, you guys haven't given this guy an opportunity to play. He's playing. So now the coaches are probably like, all right, we're going to put him out there. We're going to show you how bad he is. We're not going to give him help.
And he's showing it.
We're not gonna chip with the tight end. 4th and 1, we're gonna run it right behind him. Let's see what happens. And turnover on downs. You talk about dysfunction. That's what's going on at Hallis Hall.
Man, and the Bears got, and playing in the NFC North, the best or arguably the best division in football. You have the Detroit Lions, the Minnesota Vikings, and Green Bay playing the way they are. 3 teams possibly going to the playoffs from that division, and the Bears are the odd ones out after making probably some of the biggest splash moves in the NFL in the offseason.
They still got ass whippings coming from the Lions and Packers.
Yeah, the Lions this week in
They
Chicago,
got the
though.
Seahawks. They might be able to keep that one respectable. I don't know.
They got to keep Geno Smith under cuffs. They got to cuff Geno Smith of all people. I don't know. This is
I
just
mean, things are so bad. We got idiots calling for Justin Fields. See, we never should have traded Justin. We should have traded down and
You
got
always
more,
get that.
got more draft picks and built around him. Yeah, that's why he's sitting behind Russell Wilson, 36 years old, released by the Seahawks, replaced by Geno Smith, released by the Broncos. Come on, man. He can't even beat out 36-year-old Russell Wilson.
And he had his shot in Pittsburgh. He had multiple shots. In fact, Tomlin went with him when no one thought he would. And I don't know whether this injury was legitimate or not. You know, Russ had the knee injury, I guess it was, or the ankle or whatever it was, lower body, call it what hockey players call it, a lower body injury. And Justin Fields had his chances, and he never really awed anyone. He's won games, but they were winning the same games they were winning last year when they weren't putting up a lot of offense when he was there. Now, when you brought Russ back, he did a little better. He was at least getting touchdowns when he wasn't getting 200 yards. And then he did get that 300-yard game, something Justin Fields hadn't gotten.
Justin Fields would be decent as long as he's playing with the lead. He falls
Front
behind
runner.
in the fourth quarter, he ain't bringing you back. He's gonna get strip sacked. He's gonna fumble, or while running, scrambling, or he's gonna throw a pick. I've seen it. I saw it for 3 years. Every time the Bears needed to drive to go down and win the game, didn't happen.
But you
He's
also said this
he
is the
was
worst in the fourth
the
quarter.
worst fourth quarter quarterback in the league.
And that's how you become the worst fourth quarter quarterback in the league is by, well, not prevailing in the fourth
I,
quarter,
I don't
not
know what his
knowing what you're doing.
QBR was. I don't know what his QBR was in fourth quarters, but I'd be willing to bet it was below 40 or 30.
Man, he's talking about bad temperature. He's getting a bad wind chill with that low. But yeah, well, Chicago's season is over, so it's all about whatever's left. They have a game against Detroit. Detroit with all of these injuries. We talked about that on Monday. About the what was it Monday? Actually, last week we talked about what today's
It
today's
was
Wednesday.
Monday.
Well, we did talk
Yeah,
about it Monday.
couple
Can't
days ago. Couple
yeah,
days ago.
right. So we talked about it on Monday about Detroit and all of these injuries coming at the worst time, especially David Montgomery, who may be out for the season because of
Yeah.
his injury. I haven't heard too much more on that. They're trying to get a second opinion. Typically, when you're getting a second opinion, it's not that much better. It's still out for the season, and this is what's been the identity of their team. Even though the defense has been playing the well like they have, even with the injuries, especially with Aiden Hutchinson, you're talking the running game has been the identification with he and Jameer Gibbs. Now it's just Gibbs, and you can really lock it on him being a smaller, slighter player, even though he catches well out of the backfield. He has those big dynamic
Can,
plays.
can he
But you
handle a bigger
can
workload?
and I don't think so. I don't think so, and especially the way they use running backs these days. And he's going to be the reason why you start saying, see, that's why they don't play the running backs the way they should pay him. You know, not that he can't get the job done intermittently, but now you're going to be responsible for doing it down the stretch and probably into the playoffs and trying to make a deep playoff run. They don't have that. I don't think they have that with him with any consistency. He just can't do it. He can get the speed to get out there, but all the other things that come with it, running between the tackles when you need to. Nah, I don't think he can do it with any consistency when the better teams are playing in the playoffs
Yeah, it's unfortunate for the Lions coming down to
all year
the
long. It came
final
down to this.
stretch. They had a chance to get the best record in the NFC, home field advantage. The Eagles have been rolling. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to to secure that. And the rest of the division, other than the Bears, are hot on their tails.
Yeah, they
They're
are.
not. They, if you're the Vikings, it looks like they're ripe for the pickings, and that tightens up, the division even further. And the Packers are right there, so that division is still up for grabs.
Yeah, all of this winning Detroit has been doing, and one loss puts everything in perspective of these other teams still on their heels because they've been that good throughout the season. We see Green Bay lose, or you hear about, man, Minnesota lost, but those are and few between. It's just that Detroit has been consistently winning. Now that that one loss has come over this long period of time, now people the second loss now you're saying that damn they're back down to the pack and they're still going to get in the playoffs, but that seeding is what's going to matter. Getting that home field advantage or getting that bye is what's going to be looked at, and this is what you want as a team. And I don't know. I can't say I don't think it's going to happen, but it's the chances of taking a serious hit with David Montgomery going down and the continued defensive injuries happening as well. The laundry list, the mass unit of injuries on that list now uh, is going to put them in a very tenuous spot, especially in the NFC North. On Thursday, they're opening up, well, the week of football week with Denver. Denver's playing the Chargers. Now it's an AFC West battle, and when you say AFC West, you're thinking about Kansas City for all these years, but Denver having something to say now. Denver is in the mix right now, 9-5 on the season. Who would have ever thought that? With a rookie quarterback leading the way, and Zach Wilson somewhere on that roster too. I thought just that bad luck of him being around would be a reason why they didn't do anything. But all that nonsense that was said about Sean Payton last season, there's a whole bunch of crow waiting for you under your tree next week. He's been doing some good work with a rookie quarterback.
Right. Coaching goes a long way, obviously. That's a good matchup. You got Harbaugh on one side and Peyton on the
Yeah,
other. We'll see how good Bo Nix can play because Justin Herbert, we know he can play.
yeah, he can play, man. And he just hasn't been as explosive as I thought he would be consistently this season. I thought he was
It could be Harbaugh's got the reins on him, though. They don't
almost
really
that
have,
guy who doesn't give a damn. He thinks if
but
you have the talent,
they don't have weapons like that. To
Vlad
just fire
McConkey, the rookie
one
boy.
guy to fire the ball all over the field. I'm saying,
Woo! Man, I'm just glad that lad's looking good right now, but he's been stuck with 5 touchdowns now for a couple of weeks. I thought he'd get more, but they're going to him. He's averaging over 13 yards per reception, so he's looking good for a rookie, and it looks like the future is bright. Just add water with other players in the draft and free agency in the future, but this matchup, I don't think anyone thought this late in the season we're looking at a matchup like this and thinking people are waiting for it. People are waiting for this matchup, if nothing else, just to see what Bo Nix is doing as a rookie. His numbers are looking pretty damn good. And I think because it may be some West Coast or Mountain West bias, he's probably not getting what CJ Stroud had gotten last year. Now, is he looking like CJ Stroud? I can't even tell you that. I haven't seen him enough. CJ Stroud is in the AFC South, so I got a chance to see him because the Jaguars play them. So I see him often. I saw him often last season. I don't see a lot of Bo Nix, but Bo Nix has been getting the job done. He's had bad games too, and the team still managed to win. I think this last week they won. He lost. He had 2 interceptions.
yeah, he's. I don't know if they can win against the Chargers with him throwing 2 interceptions. He's gonna have to
Playing
play
in San
better.
Diego, exactly. He's playing
Yeah, he's
in
gonna
San
have to play
Diego.
better than that.
So, and I was just talking about a little earlier with Michael Penix getting his opportunity against the New York Giants, and he's at in the confines of
That's
Atlanta.
a good game to get your first start.
That's what I'm about. That's the only way I can look at it. The best game, get your first start. You have your counterpart, Tommy DeVito, who became not a star, but a starter last season with the Giants, and people talked about him. And I know how things go in New York. You bring these players in that no one really knows about or cares about. They have a scrappy personality to them, and everyone jumps. It's kind of like Gardner Minshew, even though he's had his time and it's kind of come and gone. But Tommy DeVito seems to be the next guy up. This season, no touchdowns, no interceptions for him either. So the rookie and him are coming into this game with a lot of the same stats. I think Penix had 38 yards that he's thrown for this season for the mop-up duty he might have gotten or just getting him out there. But I don't see this as being an exciting game, probably just for Michael Penix, for people who just want to see how he looks.
Yeah, I want to see if Mahomes plays Saturday.
As bad as they said the injury was, that high ankle sprain, they said a severe high ankle sprain. I thought a high ankle sprain is already severe, but and we've seen him play with a bad ankle before. They're already in the playoffs. I think, and I know it comes down to the seeding. That's what you really want. But do you really want to risk him now? Because they did it last year, came from, were able to not be a top seed and still get to the Super Bowl and win it. So I don't think you want to do that on purpose, but to save your quarterback and just hope you can get something on the road if it comes down to it, I'd rest him.
Yeah, I would definitely rest him. Um, we talked about this on Monday. He's got it. You want him as healthy as possible going into the
Hmm.
playoffs. They got a little bit of a cushion with the Bills losing the other day or last week, whenever it was. No, it was the other day, right?
With the Bills won
Okay,
this past Sunday, or the Bills
Before the
lost.
Lions game.
Yeah, they lost before that. The Bills.
Yeah, so they have a cushion. They can afford to lose one game. I think his Mahomes' health is of the utmost importance. Yes, we've seen them hobbling around, but is that what you really want? Considering they're playing all these one-score games,
Yep. All
if
season pretty much.
yeah, if it's the playoffs and it's one score and maybe that ankle causes an underthrow, interception, or he misses a receiver,
Mhm.
you want him at full strength if possible.
And you take away that scrambling ability that he does have. It's not subtle scrambling that he does. He does definitive, deliberate scrambling when he does it. You could make naked bootlegs and just have him run because he does have the athleticism to do that. You can't do that now with the ankle being the way it is. And this
You don't want him to aggravate it
not
further.
at
That's
all.
why I
I mean,
say you sit him down for at least 1 week.
with a high ankle sprain like that, that's as aggravated as it gets, other than a break. In fact, some people talk about how you would rather have a break than a high ankle sprain because it lingers for so long. I've had a high ankle sprain, and I remember how long it was hurting. I wasn't one of these guys, but I remember I was still having pain on it a year and a half later, still having
Dang.
pain. I mean, not a whole lot of pain, but noticeable. You think about, damn, it's still that ankle? You think that if you're just walking, it doesn't really feel like anything. As soon as you do something sudden, you're like, damn, that ankle still pain in the ass. That's how you look at it. But yeah, man, they're stuck between a rock and a hard place because you want to have him out there, but then it could be he's not going to be the same player regardless. And at this point in the season, all teams have beat up players. It just happens to be this is the star player that's hurt.
Yeah, with a maybe not a major injury, but a severe injury that could really hamper his play.
Yep, and that's probably what's going to happen. So let's see how that ends up with him, because I know there's another old school NFC East battle. Philadelphia is going down to Washington, the Beltway. They're just gonna just go. Well, he's going down to the Beltway to play. Well, Philadelphia is. Jaden Daniels facing Philadelphia at home. Just an old school NFC East battle. Washington is a 3.5 point underdog at home, but I can see this game kind of swinging the right way. You know why? Because I always look at Jalen Hurts, and I still don't think he wins games. I think the team wins games, and players just happen to do some things while he happens to be the quarterback. And of course, Saquon Barkley, now probably number 2 on some list as MVP, as Josh Allen looks like he may be leading the pack, doing the ridiculous things he's been doing over the past couple of weeks. But I'm thinking that Washington has a real chance to beat Philadelphia just because of the rivalry. And then, well, Washington's a pretty good team this year.
I don't see it. I just think the Eagles are rolling.
They are
Um,
hottest team now since Detroit's
like
lost.
they're I know Jaden Daniels is having a really good year for a rookie. I just don't see him being able to get it done against the Eagles. If nothing else, they're gonna pound the rock with Barkley. That's gonna set up play action.
Yep.
I just don't know if Washington will be able to keep up with them offensively.
But Antonio Brown is going to want that ball. I think it was deliberate what he did in the last game after he got his touchdown. He celebrated with Jalen Hurts after we've been hearing stories. I think one of the players on their team publicly stated, well, they weren't getting along anymore, or something to that effect, saying they not necessarily get along right now. And what he said was not necessarily subtle, but people kind of drew from it, and it had people asking questions about what's up with their relationship. Is there something really that bad now? So I think that's why when he had gotten his touchdown, they celebrated together, had that little thing going on to show people that things aren't as bad as you hear on the outside or heard from the inside. But I don't know. You
Well,
never know what's going
Jalen
to.
Hurts would have to be an absolute idiot to see him open and not throw him the ball.
Oh, absolutely. I
But
don't think that kind of thing
whether
is
they get
happening.
along or not, I don't think it matters.
I don't think that kind of thing is happening. I'm just thinking the
No, I'm
overall
just saying.
camaraderie of the team.
So
The
what's the
overall,
big deal then? What's the big deal?
well, the big deal of
As
for
long
him to
as one didn't bang the other's lady, they should be cool.
the big deal is that it was even talked about. Something in the locker room like that, if it was happening, doesn't need to be said or even given little subtle hints to where people, or not so subtle hints, so people are going to say something about it or question it, and it becomes just another thing for the organization or the team to deal with. You know, people might bring it up. Now he gets that first touchdown or gets another touchdown. I guess they got it back together now. Someone's saying that as far as the commentary. You know, those little things that you probably don't realize in a locker room that it probably does affect. Not that he's not going to throw it to him, but I don't know, it just throws off the chemistry. Maybe so. But anyway,
I don't buy it.
Well, going back to college football, right now we have this transfer portal open, players coming in, coaches changing everywhere. Drew Allar from Penn State decides he's not going into the draft, which I think is the excellent decision. I didn't see him as being impressive at all this season, at all. When they were allegedly saying that he was impressive. I watched him. I didn't think he was at all. But seeing all of these other quarterbacks in the early going, when you could say, man, we see a couple first rounders, not necessarily a lot. Now we're down to just talking about Shador and maybe Cam Ward. And I don't think they're overwhelming at all in terms of their pro prospects, in my opinion.
Yeah, I haven't really looked at any mock drafts. I saw one where they were talking about Travis Hunter going number 3, but I didn't really pay that close attention. It's not. It's just not NFL draft time right now. So
Yeah. And what's his deal? Everybody's in Travis' business now about his relationship. It's like everyone's business now. Look at the way she did at the Heisman Trophy. Someone had to tell her to stand up, and she doesn't really like him because I know I saw a video about her saying how he wasn't her type initially. She left him in the box, the DM for like 2 or 3 months before she started decide to talk to him. And then her story of it's not because he's an athlete. I've dated athletes before, and I'm thinking to myself, really? Well, you've been together for 5 years. Which athletes have you dated? The high school football players? Come on now.
the running
But
back in middle school.
that's what I'm talking about. So like they're together for 5 years. You said you dated athletes before. I don't know about that, but I don't know. I don't even want to get into the conversation about how they're going to do when they finally get married. Everyone is speaking on it. People who all of their business. I don't know why. And Travis comes across as a nice home guy and all that. We don't know anything behind the scenes, but man, you would hope for the best. And if it's about money, which most
Maybe,
times it is, I
maybe
hope he doesn't.
she comes from the Robin Givens school of
Oh,
romance.
and Robin Gibbs, like I said, when she became Tyson's wife, that's exactly what happened. She was Robin Tyson. And that's exactly what she was doing. So I'm just hoping that's not the case. And he probably has too much pride now that it has gotten this big to even talk about a prenup. And that's going to become another issue for another time. But anyway,
Yeah, but before we go, I just want to talk a little bit about Caitlin Clark getting Athlete of the Year and all the flack she's been getting for it. You got people coming at her, or people saying, "Well, why not the entire league? Why didn't the entire
no,
league?"
not nope, no,
Yeah,
she deserves it. She got it.
she does deserve it, but people are coming up with the most ridiculous shit. Athlete is one person, athlete, not
Why does she have to
athletes,
share? I mean, seriously, why does she have to
not
share?
athletes. I mean, plus nobody would have talked about the WNBA anywhere near to the extent it was talked about if Caitlin Clark said, "You know what? I'm not going to play professional basketball. I'm going to go do this." If she never went to the WNBA, you think people were going to tune in to watch Angel Reese
Absolutely not, because
shoot
I
twenty
damn sure would
percent?
have.
People want to see Angel Reese shoot 20%. Oh, she got another double double.
They will.
Ooh,
She got her own issues in the off season, man.
I'm just saying the stuff people are coming up with. And then I haven't seen the comments, but they're saying that she was she was playing to the woke
Yeah,
audience.
that's the part
Um,
I was gonna bring up. I was like, yo, that's when I was like, come on, we couldn't just leave it on the
if
court. You got to get political.
if
But then
she's trying to
to
endear
acquiesce to
herself,
all these people, endear herself
right?
to people she don't need to. They don't like her anyway. Why you're trying to endear yourself and now trying to give props to these people who don't
Ho-
deserve the props? They built this league. How did the hell they built this league when it's been losing money for all these years,
Built it to
including
what?
last season?
Yeah, built it to what? There still needs building blocks.
It's ridiculous. It's just they're forcing her hand, and now she's gotten sucked into the abyss. I'm now almost on board with you about not watching the WNBA next season. I'm serious. After that nonsense, I'm like, never mind.
Yeah, I
Oh,
told
come
you
on, man.
I'm done,
Bend the
but
knee.
I'm done with the WNBA. But this isn't really the WNBA. It's something like directly at Caitlin Clark. Has
Yeah.
nothing to do with the fever. Has nothing to do with the league,
They just came after her, but
and
they've
it's
been coming after her
bullshit.
all year. They've always come after her. Just no one else would have gotten this flack if no one else if it wasn't Caitlin Clark. They would have all come in. Even Diana Taurasi, they're acting like she's the first white chick who ever played the WNBA. We've had a litany of white chicks who's supposed to have been these alleged white hopes, and none of this has happened. Now that she's the one making it happen, they're making it seem like it's exclusively about race. And then I think all of this is starting up and beginning with race anyway, because that's how these woke and race types always do it anyway. It's never about the sport where it should be, the diversion from the social nonsense that happens on the outside. That's what sports is supposed to be about. But we see how things work out. They bring it back to the race, and now she's becoming acquiescent to their nonsense and trying to put words out there to appease everybody. And I don't know if she's going
Be
to lose
yourself,
fans.
Caitlin. Don't do that bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the damage is already done because I've heard a whole lot about it and I'm seeing even more about it. But whatever. And I know they want to break it down to conservative or liberal. Nah, man, it's just you could have just left it on the court and everything would have been okay. But that's just not how it happened. Anyway, we can leave on that. He's Biased. I'm Trav, and the Sports Back Bros podcast will be back. Now, I'm wondering if we're going to come back on Monday because it's so close to Christmas. We don't take hiatus. Wednesday's going to be Christmas. Are you still going to be in Indianapolis? Are you staying there forever or what?
No, I'll be back Saturday.
All right. But until the next time we show up,
We'll be back Monday. You'll see the Sports
Monday.
Back Bros, even if you don't like looking at us.
And later, deuces.
Peace.